All right. Good evening and welcome everyone. This is the NZ Buddies Live and More fortnightly Zoom live sessions. And today we have the amazing Sharon Gibson from Northland, New Zealand. And she is a certified facilitator and access body process facilitator. And she traveled around the world. She's been to the UK and Australia and spent also time in Japan and created lots of change everywhere she went. And it's so amazing that we can have you tonight. And I'm so excited because it's a totally different angle that we can hear from you about the bodies. And what I will have lots of questions.
Yay, questions are great.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining today. And one of the things that was really interesting when I read your bio was that you met with Gary and Dane in Auckland when you were working in a menswear store in 2004, and that's so amazing. Can you please talk a bit more about that and all these things about fashion and your life and fashion and bodies and what you know about this, please?
Yeah, cool. Thank you for the warm welcome and for the invitation, Rocco and Chilla. It's really lovely to be here and get amongst it with all you people. So 2004, living in Auckland, and I guess at that point in time, actually, my life wasn't so fantastic, although it looked like I was an advert from the lottery win, had the perfect job, the perfect salary, the perfect boyfriend, the perfect apartment, the car, everything, you name it, it looked perfect. But there was a really innate unhappiness that stemmed from a number of things. And one of those things was just an unconscious pattern that was playing out in my life that I was really fed up with. And I'd got to a point where I was exasperated and I was really thinking, well, if this is as good as life gets, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. So I was working as a national sales manager in a menswear store, managing a cluster of stores. And I had actually just a couple of days beforehand, really somehow energetically, I think, really asked for some help. So I was just like, well, I don't really know what to do now, but I'm asking for some help. So it was just a couple of days later that Gary and Dane came into the store, and so Gary Douglas is the founder of Access, and Dr. Dane here, for those of you who don't know, is his business partner. And they were in New Zealand teaching seminars at the time, and they liked to shop a wee bit, and so they found themselves in the store I was working in. So that's how we connected. I was just about to head off to Melbourne on a buying trip, so I was going to buy the new season. I had huge reporting to do. It's been a really ridiculous busy time. The shop was about to close. We were in sale mode, and these guys come in really close to that time, and I was doing everything I could to avoid them because I just wanted to go home, And I think I even left the store. I think I even pushed the sale rack with them attached to it inside the store, to give them the message that we were closing soon. That didn't work. So then I was like, okay, well, I'll leave these guys with my sales associate, and I'll just cruise over and get some sushi and get some tea. And I did that, came back, and they were still there. And by that stage, my sales associate had one of them at the counter with a rather large sale, and the computer crashed. And I had to go along and help put the sale through and correct what was going on with the computer. So that is how I connected with Dr. Dane here, because he was the guy doing all the purchasing. And and then Gary, he wanted to try some things on, and long story short, the shop door was shut. These guys were now officially locked in, and it was the most fun I'd had in a really long time. Like, these guys, I don't know, really, I have no idea what really went on there. But all time and, time just ceased to exist. There was just so much going on. There was so much creation. It was pretty crazy, and it was so much fun. So I can remember, saying to my sales associate when they left, whatever they just did, I want more of it. And that is the beginning of my adventure with Access Consciousness. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. I just wanted to know more about that. So obviously you spent a lot of time in that industry, and as you transformed or you started to walk through the pathway of access consciousness, you find that you have some amazing skills and areas in that area. And if you can.
Yeah, so I trained as a makeup artist in London with Anita Roddick in the Body Shop many moons ago. And then I started working in the fashion industry in London, actually, and just landed in it again in New Zealand. I think it was meant to be an in-between job, but I wound up in that industry for 20 plus years. So for me, it was always, just the creative expression, what as a woman you can do with makeup and hair, and how you can transform yourself like a butterfly, with clothes. And what I noticed when I started working with the tools of Access and just expanding my awareness was, I just never realised it, but people were really doing everything they could to cover up their bodies, or to cover up some emotional thing that had, that was occurring in their lives, or some other thing. Like they would resist a lot of clothes, or a lot of colour, or a lot of suggestions. They just were so closed down to it because it reminded them of their father or their school uniform, or there were all of these things that to me were a real refusal of enjoying the just the privilege, I guess, of having a body. And I started to become really clear about that, so I could really tune into people as soon as they walked in the store, and I could become very aware of how I could lead them down a path to transformation in a matter of 45 minutes, just body transformation, emotional transformation, psychological transformation, you name it, it all happened. Magic just happened right in front of my eyes, and it usually only took about 45 minutes.
Wow. And I'm just wondering if you look into that area of the uniforms of the school uniforms, and what it does to the children, and whether we could do some clearing on that, when you can see them in black and all these things.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the things that we discovered, like I actually started doing wardrobe detoxes, and Gary and Dane were in town at this time, so obviously they used to come back and do their shopping with me, and I was living with somebody who wanted to have a wardrobe detox, and I always saw 20% of her wardrobe, and it was always perfect and elegant and just absolutely gorgeous, and I was just like, it's just going to be so breezy. And then she rolled back the other part of her wardrobe, and it was like, oh my God, there was so much in there, and it was all black. So there was like 500 stories about black, there were 500 characters and costumes and roles that she was playing while she was wearing black. And so I could see it all, and we had a wee chat with Gary and Dane about that, because through her, her wardrobe, it was actually Moana Brown, and she won't mind me saying so. But out of that came a clearing, and it was, to do with all of the vibrational realities and all of the characters and costumes. So everywhere we're playing characters, everywhere we are putting on costumes, and everywhere we are using clothes and anything we haven't asked for, makeup and the rest of it, to fit into a certain vibrational frequency Can we now please destroy and uncreate all that
Yes.
across all time, space, dimensions, and realities for all eternity? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, fires, and beyond. So, did people get to ask questions on this call?
Yes, that is lovely when they ask questions. So I would like to really encourage them, if you would like to know anything more about Sharon or about dresses and
or
about bodies. Yeah.
Yeah. Or that's the access clearing statement. I'm not sure if everyone who is on the call are regulars or just visitors. And yeah, Rel is the first. Yeah. So that's the access clearing statement, which is basically a magic wand. If you want to know more about it, just go to clearingstatement.com and you can get like YouTube videos about the whole thing. But really all it is a huge energy, and it clears everything, like all the thoughts, feelings and emotions immediately preceding the decisions that we made that got us stuck or started to create destruction, a trail of destruction in our lives. So clears all the judgments.
Oh. And I know that you have some accident before that was also pretty life-changing. And you had some experience with your body and your body's capacities. If you could share more about that.
Yeah, so New Year's Eve of the millennium, I was driving north to the Hogmanay. Our family are part Scottish, and had a car accident heading north and wound up in hospital, and also nearly didn't make it to be here. So there were some injuries that I sustained, multiple injuries, and yeah, just through that whole experience, I guess I was never really grateful for my body. That was one thing. I was not grateful because I was actually training for body sculpting competitions at the time. So I was always, whipping it into shape, and, I was just spending hours in the gym. And then I still wasn't satisfied. So one of the things I'm grateful for is that I had been, training and my body was in really good shape. So, it was in really good shape. So the injuries were pretty, some people who had the same accident didn't make it out as lucky as I did. Now I've lost my train of thought. The recovery was fast.
The recovery, yeah.
The recovery was fast, yeah. So they kept coming in and telling me, you've got this injury, you've got that injury, and the list went on. And, and then the last time they came in to tell me I had a hairline fracture to my pelvis, I just lost my cool. And I just screamed out, no, with all that energy. I was just like, no. And so the medical staff, she said, oh, okay, well, I'll go and have I'll just go and check and all this kind of thing. So she then put her into question. And so then they said, okay, we'll have another x-ray. And then when I went to have the other x-ray, it wasn't there. It had gone. So that was really interesting to me. And then having a chat with, Gary and Dane about that, you can actually make that demand with all that potency, and you can actually change everything that's going on in your body. So you don't have to buy into what people tell you, which may not be true for you. It may not be true for your body. So that was something that I discovered much down the track. And I actually started, now I can claim and own and acknowledge that is just one heck of a potency to change and transform the body, and we all have it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering that with all your knowledge and all these experiences, when you hold, these access body classes, how amazing addition it can be to the people working or learning from someone who went through these changes and was able to do such an amazing transformation or quick healings.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I just got total goosebumps, and that really turns me on to hear that. And I think what really the key piece that really turns me on is that everybody has this capacity, and it is about receiving. So it's just letting go of the barriers, you know, like all those points of view that we take on, you know, to decide something, and we actually lock it in to our body, and that's what creates the solidity or the no change. But if we don't actually have those points of view, then we basically open up our whole bodies, our whole lives, our awareness, our being to let all the magic stuff in, like it can all come in. And that's what excites me and turns me on. And seeing people actually, you know, seeing people receive all that for themselves too, you know, it's just huge, it's massive, large, very, very large.
Oh, I just received a question, and it's about the conscious dress or conscious wardrobe. So how do you know that what style that someone needs, or yeah, what would fit for them the best, or what would be something that can transform them, or yeah, or what does their body need?
What is it? Well, number one, it's choice. So they have to have a willingness to be able to play. As if they don't want to play, then it's, you know, it's not going to actually be that much fun. It's not going to show up. So be willing to play like a kid. You know, remember, I don't know if you played dress-ups when you were a kid, but I certainly did. And the clothes don't fit you. They're usually adults' clothes when you're a kid. And you just do crazy combinations, and it's all just out of control and out of the box. But it turns you into a butterfly, and that's the approach that I would invite with anybody who is dressing their body, just to get out of your head and into play, and just try different combinations. And it's much like making a recipe, you know, that you don't have a recipe book to, and you just throw in a pinch of this and a pinch of that, and, you know, taste it, see how it tastes, and keep going if it needs a little bit more, or stop if you've got to enough. And it's the same thing with clothes and makeup.
Yeah, and do you hold a training or workshops in this topic, or helping people in some way in this area?
I do. And I haven't got myself organised at all in this regard. So what I do is I like to have a public event. It's usually an evening, and I like to call it, Is There a Diva in Your Closet? And I'd like to have it at, like I have usually in the past had them at public venues where, you know, I've put, people have arrived. It's a ticketed event. They get revolving platters. It's orgasmic food. There's beautiful champagne on arrival. It's usually themed. So, like, for example, the theme was Sex in the City. So it encourages people to not to go shopping, but to go shopping in their wardrobe and find whatever it is that is your interpretation of that theme in your wardrobe, and just create it and come along. And there's usually a prize for the best dressed person and spot prizes and all that kind of thing. And then I do a presentation once everyone's had a few drinks, got everyone drunk, and then I get up and talk about something to do with fashion or body or self-love or image or persona. And it could be fast fashion versus low fashion, but it's all based on bringing awareness. So it's definitely not your current model of stylist. It is really a shift in consciousness, and it is really about empowering people to know that they can actually be the expert in their own life. So I'll give them a set of tools and empower them to go off and use those tools. I won't come along and say, I'm the expert and you should do this, this and this. So that's one thing. And yes, I do a workshop. It's an evening. At the moment we were doing an evening introduction, and then the next day we were following through with 3 to 4 hours. And that one's still evolving. So I did have one that had a manual and everything. And yeah, but, you know, I've just come back from Japan, and that didn't go off in Japan. The life part of it, the access part of it did. So I'm just integrating and creating something different.
Oh, and as we start to shift into another area, which is so fascinating, is about Japan and your 2 years that you spent there. If you could talk more about it, what happened, and Yeah.
How did that show up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? This is what started for me was, being based in New Zealand, facilitator training was always in Australia, and that was so accessible. And then I'd been doing that for years. And then one year I just got really bored with the same old, same old. So I started asking questions about, I wonder what it would be like to go to Rome and do facilitator training there. So that's where I was headed. And I also was very, very bored, and I was demanding a bigger life. And yeah, about 6 weeks later, I think we were all packed up and heading to Japan. So I'd been demanding a bigger life and a bigger business. And then my partner got a rugby coaching contract in Japan. And of course, I flew into resistance about all this. And then I heard Gary Douglas saying, because I just had a point of view that it was a concrete jungle. And we live on the coast, and we have 180-degree views of the ocean and native bush behind us and bird life abundant, the whole thing. So anyway, I got through that and went across there. And actually, before I'd even left the country, I had 4 events set up and ready to go. So I contacted Access and I said, look, we're relocating to Japan. Can you hook me up with someone so I can get my bars run? Because if I don't have my bars run, I'm likely I'm going to die. And so Simone said to me, well, look, why don't you put a letter in, we'll create a newsletter. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what you do and put all your classes up online. Hey, Jane. And and we'll send it out. We'll send the newsletter out. So they had a couple of other things happening. So Access had just started to, pop in Japan at that time. So I did that. I did the newsletter, and literally 10 seconds after it went out, all my notifications started popping, and I like popcorn for real. So I had 4 events set up. We used Skype, and I had a translator, and people wanted to host me, and so we just got to work that way and started creating, and then that opened up so many possibilities, and it was just incredible. So I was really it really demanded more of me as well in terms of stepping up into facilitating in a totally new way, and also translating too, working with a translator. It was huge, and it was amazing. And I'm still working with them, so I'm doing online workshops with them, and looking to head back there.
Wow.
And looking to have some of them come over here.
And I'm just wondering if you're planning to have these Wunderle detox sessions in Auckland sometime in the future.
Definitely. Why not? I'm really keen to do them in Melbourne as well. Shopping city. Absolutely. Yeah. It's just a matter of scheduling and inviting people along.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Actually, I'm going to be in Auckland in July, at the end of July, for foundation class. So that could be enough time to organise something, and it could be enough time to at least have a taster event for an evening or something.
Wow, that's really great. Yeah, so the other question is about, I've heard that you were the first who managed to put Gary and Dane on TV here in New Zealand. So how did that all happen? How did it all show up? How did you do that?
Claim to fame.
Because that definitely needed some way of stepping up and choosing more. It's not just, it doesn't show up just by coincidence.
That's right. It doesn't just happen, does it? Well, I'd studied event management for a couple of years. I worked in events in the UK. So I had some media training, and I just always knew that, what these guys had, the tools they had, everybody, to be great if everybody could at least know about it and have the possibility of being invited to one of their public events, because they would always put a public event on in New Zealand when they were visiting. And the class they were doing that year was Earth Changes, and I can't remember if it was 2009 or 2010. But I just contacted TV New Zealand. So I was doing a part-time contract for a New Age bookstore at the time, Goodies Bookstore in Auckland. I don't know if anybody knows of that. It's no longer. I think it's an online store now. My job there was to do the newsletter and re-merchandise and get the events happening upstairs. And I just happened to give it a crack and get somebody on TV. And from Australia, a lady called Ines Segal, she was coming. And then she pulled out. And actually at the time she pulled out of that TV interview, she pulled out of her trip to New Zealand. There was obviously a space available for someone on their segment. And Dane was coming over to do a class. And so I got him on TV instead of Ina. So he went along and did it, I think. But yeah, Gary and Dane, honestly, I just emailed and had a phone conversation with someone down in TV New Zealand, and they said yes. And so that was the beginning of that. And then every time, after that they came, they were able to jump on, and we formed a connection and a relationship with TV New Zealand, and they had a few more in my time. So that's, yeah.
Do you still have those connections at TV New Zealand? Is it possible to invite back Gary and Dane, or show more
totally.
of access consciousness?
Yeah, I mean, they have a media agent now, so they have a PR agent, Justine McCallum. She takes care of all the media stuff now. So, and yes, Dane, I think, yes, they do come onto TV in New Zealand when they come to New Zealand. Yeah. But those connections have all changed now. That was part of the evolution. Everybody moves on.
And also there is another thing that I just read in your bio, that you have another area which is about so you sort of instill some lifestyle tools of access consciousness and share it with secondary schools, and somehow you have access to that area.
Yeah, gosh, did I manage to get all that information to you? Wow.
The amazing thing, you are so Amazing in hiding all these.
Am I? Oh, wow. So yeah, how do I get into that? So yes, I have a real desire to empower youth. I have a real desire to work with youth in terms of letting them know that they have many choices. And so when I came back to New Zealand from Auckland, when I came back to Northland from Auckland, everything changed for me, and I had to diversify my business in a big way. And I knew I would like to work with youth. And so I just kept pitching it. And then actually I got a phone call one day. I'd kind of given up on that because nothing was... got a phone call from a principal from one of the high schools who'd been chatting with my partner at the rugby. And he used to be my PE teacher at school. And anyway, long story short, he said that there's an area for me to come and do something with the girls, the at-risk youth. So there was a huge suicide rate. The suicide rates had increased enormously, especially in Northland with youth. And we'd been talking about how we would like to contribute in that area. And just having the sense that, the youth are maybe more aware than they care to acknowledge or even give themselves credit for, and that some of the stuff may not be theirs. So he invited me to come to have a meeting with him, and also I've been writing a column in the Savvy magazine in Northland, so he'd been reading my column every month, and he was just, that was another thing that was helpful. So I went and had a chat with him and created a 6-week program out of it. And I ran one and then had plenty of scope for more, and then we packed up and went to Japan. So in the process of tapping into that again now.
Yeah, that is so amazing that when and I really love that you started something, or you realize that there is a real need and you can be part of sort of a movement, or you can start a movement and contribute to others' life, and especially the new generation's life, who yeah, and you know, in one way, in more ways, they are the future. And it's also so amazing what I've seen, like in the past in Christchurch, that other people from Access Consciousness, they were holding their sort of a workshop or helping people who had been traumatized by the earthquake, and just helping them to reduce stress. So there are many areas, and New Zealand is not alone with this thing. So these things are existing everywhere else in the world, and there are many other areas of life when the need for help is there, or somehow creating a totally different reality for the people who are needing that or desiring more, but they just don't know what to do and how to do and where to go.
Exactly.
And that's a really amazing contribution. Thank you for doing that.
Welcome.
And were you thinking about to somehow grow it out, make it bigger in New Zealand? Because I know Northland is heavily impacted, but it's not a single thing in New Zealand. It's
well, what the discussion, where we left off with that was that the Ministry of Education was suggesting that I write a program into the curriculum so that it was just going out for the whole year. So I'm just having conversations with them again at the moment, so that, you know, that's possible, definitely. And then the other thing is that, you know, there's just so many of us accessories in New Zealand, and anybody can pick up the phone and make an appointment with a school. You know, anyone can be there and offer this kind of possibility as well for anyone in any of the areas of New Zealand. I know that Robbie Richardson in Palmerston North, she's created a really amazing program to help youth and their families, and I forget what it's all called now, but you may have had a chat with her, and they've actually got funding and they've created a new trust and they put families through it. And so part of that self-care program is that they all have to learn how to run the bars so they can run bars on each other.
Wow.
Yeah, it's awesome. So she'd be worth having a really good chat with, because they've got something really amazing happening in the Manawatu region around that with youth, and that was all to help with the mental health and suicide rate as well.
Wow. And yeah, so as I understand that you met Gary and Dane in 2004, and then you attended your first class, and in 2007 you became a CF, and I just wanted to know more about you, what changes you went through, and what amazing transformations, and what acknowledgement.
Oh my God, have you all got a glass of wine handy? This might take a little while. Yeah, this unfortunately it's not alcohol, but it's very yummy. Yeah, well, at the time, you know, this unconscious pattern that was playing out with relationships, and so that was the first thing that changed for me. I left my relationship and became single and ready to mingle, and yeah, I moved off, and I just really immersed myself in the recreation or the undoing of who I thought I was. And I left my job in the fashion industry and started to do like personal styling. Just things, some really crazy things showed up for me. I got invited to go to Papua New Guinea for a month contract to set up a launch party for a telecommunication company, you know, that kind of thing. That was awesome. And I guess, you know, it's just a never-ending project, this change and transformation gig, you know. One of the things that I had a real point of view about was speaking in public as well. So it's, you know, I had a real.
So what did you do to get over that?
Well, I came back from facilitator training one year, and we all went out for dinner and drinks in St. Heliers, and somebody was performing there, and these people knew that I could sing that I was with, and they offered me up to sing, and you know, and then I was trying to resist it, but they were using the tools with me and processed me out of it, so I got up and sang in public. and that was received really well. And then I got asked to come back and sing more regularly. So I started doing that. And so that helped me get over myself. And then I just really, again, in the area of mental health, you know, because obviously after my car accident, I had a whole 12 months of recovery. So there were a lot of psychological, emotional, physical things that I was jumping, some hurdles I was jumping. And, you know, at one point in time, it's fair to say I was pretty depressed and living quite an isolated life. So I have an area that I'm actually looking at changing now, but there was an area that I was very interested in, had that desire to create some change and make an impact in, and that was mental health and depression. So I got on the phone and started calling people to see if I could come and speak at their events, and I just kept getting invited to go back and speak at those events, and so that's how I started to get over myself, or getting up to speak at festivals, mind, body, spirit festivals.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and soon discovered that actually I really enjoy it. And so now I'm speaking at corporates for like real estate companies for their Kickstart conferences. I've just had a speaking spot at the Pink Ribbon fundraiser event in Whangarei. And yeah, my last speaking gig was really amazing. Only one person showed up. And that was in Kaikoui in the Bay of Islands on the weekend. Still, it was really amazing. It was cool. So it's just getting on with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, sometimes when only one person shows up, then they need that special focus or attention, and they can be like yeah, they themselves can turn into the tsunami for others, and they just go through much more and in a more intense way. And through that, and it doesn't really matter that you really judge yourself or think about why only one person, and in a short period of time it shows up that person changes everyone else's life, that they didn't turn up, but that one person can change everything. And
it only takes one person.
Yeah.
No, it was all good. It was fun.
Wow. One other area that you see you are quite active, and that's about the abuse hold that you apply very often and offer that to people. If you could share something about that.
So, yep, totally. So that's another area, abuse. I think, you know, judgment is actually abuse. So self-judgment is huge abuse. And abuse comes in many forms, you know, financial abuse, spiritual abuse, you name it, psychological abuse, emotional abuse, all that kind of stuff. So actually in Japan it just was really crazy popular. So the abuse hold is when you lie down with someone and you basically spoon them for a whole hour, and your certain points of the body have to contact the other, you know, each other. And then you just allow for all of the abuse to discharge out of their body. So there's a prerequisite for that, and it's listening to the abuse MP3s 30 times consecutively, which, you know, if anybody is interested, you can go online to the Access website to the shop and purchase them. I think that's $75 AUD. And those MP3s, they take care of all of the head stuff. So that helps dissipate all of the head stuff, the abuse, and then the body hold, you know, takes care of a lot more in the body. So it's really nurturing. It's really, the abuse hold is a very interesting thing, you know, because it takes a lot of vulnerability, and you're actually, you know, it's a really intimate space with each other. So there can be absolutely nothing but allowance and vulnerability and barriers down, and to create that space of trust so that person can actually just let go of it all. So yeah, each one of them is different, and people respond differently. mostly I found them to be really gentle. And where do you get to go in the world that you can have that kind of dissipation of, of those energies?
Yeah.
So it's phenomenal.
Yeah. So, all right. So what contribution we can be to all the people in New Zealand and around the world who had suffered from any type of abuse, like financial, physical, spiritual, mental, or sexual abuse.
Mm.
Oh, so all the energies that they blocked or not willing to acknowledge, and they are judging themselves or buying into other people's judgments and locking it into their bodies. What would it take to destroy and uncreate all of that for all eternity?
Nice question.
And everything that it brings up.
Yeah. Or lets down.
Yeah. We just
destroy, and uncreate it all. Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, POC, whole nine shorts, boys and beyond.
Right.
That was nice.
And just to let everyone know, so in Access Consciousness, there are body classes, like 3-day body classes. And if someone would like to attend a 3-day body class where they can learn so many energetic body processes, like around 60 different energetic body processes. And when people attend this class like twice, then they are allowed to attend an advanced body class with Gary Douglas. And that is a prerequisite to attend the abuse hold class with Gary Douglas. And that's an amazing class. So yeah, and there will be a 3-day body class in Tauranga this year, in September, and another 3-day body class in Christchurch with Margaret Brownock. The one in Tauranga is with Cass Thomas. Do you know more about that, Sharon?
Yes.
You met Cass before?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So Margaret's a good friend of mine too. So she's going to be in Christchurch July 7 to 9. Yeah. And then Cass Thomas is coming to Tauranga. And Cass, yes, I met Cass in my first level 2 and 3, which is what it was back then. So there's seminars you can go to. I don't know if everyone here has been to Access before. I know Jane has and Rel hasn't. But there's some manuals you go through in classes, and the first one I did was foundations, and back then bars was in foundations, so you didn't have to do bars and foundations. And so the next one would be level 2 and 3, which only Gary and Dane, who are the founders, they would teach that one. And now that's changed to COP, which is choice of possibilities, and it's only a 3-day class. So couple of steps back, my first level 2 and 3 in Australia is where I met Cass Thomas. So we were sharing an apartment there. So she's actually born in America, and I can't remember where, but she's been living in Italy forever. But she doesn't actually live in Italy because she travels around the globe. She's location free, really. I think she just goes home to have sex every now and then. And she's awesome. Like this woman has what I call an orgasmic voice. She's orgasmic in her embodiment, and listening to her, you just have orgasm. She's just amazing. The things she says, all of her awareness, she's got a very beautiful way to facilitate, and she's just awesome. So she's a lot of fun too. So I think she's quite magical, and I'm actually looking to have her on TV as well. So Moana, myself, and Michelle Edhouse are hosting Cass Thomas in New Zealand. And she'll be doing, I'm just doing a massive infomercial now. She's doing the Tales of the Golden Planet. We've invited her to here, and that's a whole day. Then she does a 3-day body class, and during that 3-day body class, there's a special class which is open to the public, and I think that's going to be about sex and money. 7 steps to communication with sex and money.
Wow.
So yeah, so
is there any prerequisite to attend that class with the 7 steps?
no, that's open to the public, and that'll be an evening class during the 3-day body class. And Tales of the Golden Planet is also a public event. Like, there's no prerequisites, anybody can come. And that class, back in the day when we all started with Access, that was in the foundation manual. So there was a story about the Tales of the Golden Planet.
Yeah.
And really what the story is that we've all given up our capacities to be magnificent. And this tells a really beautiful story about it. You know, it starts off once upon a time.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we have the capacity to, you know, to draw minerals and everything from the earth, or walk by a plant and have our body receive all of the healing capacity that, you know, a trace of that plant might be offering, and all kinds of things. So this class is going to be more a celebration of creation, less about limitation. But it'll be, you know, if you're ready to get your rocket boots on now and start to really move into what's possible, then this class is for you. It'll be fun.
Yeah. And by the way, we judge ourselves that none of these capacities left with us, and they all have gone. And sometimes with my wife, we just walk into the local organic shop and we just ask our body to take everything that you can find.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's amazing when you don't have the judgment that it's not existing, and you can only feed your body through eating and through your mouth.
Yeah.
Then it's a total insane limitation and just
Totally.
cutting of our capacities. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, that is a celebration of, you know, embodiment, really. The joy of embodiment is that by asking the question and being open to receive, you know, what might show up next, it can actually be that easy. You know, I was chatting with somebody last night. She was having some kind of judgment around her skin. We're doing 10 keys to total freedom online, and one of them was interesting point of view. You know, I have this point of view, and the other one is ask, live in the question. So she started asking the skin to be different, and overnight it started to change. So it's like, you know, if you can ask your skin to be different and your skin responds overnight, what else could you ask for that could be so easy to show up? And everything that doesn't allow that to, you know, for everyone to have, or just to ask and be willing to receive whatever that is for you. Could we just join and create all that, please?
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, online, shorts, boys and beyond. Wow.
Thank you. Yeah. You know, so I keep hearing people say, it's just too hard, it's too hard, it's too hard. And, you know, one of the things I've learned to respond to that is, you know, ladies, there's only one thing you want hard in life, and it's not that. Everybody goes visual, and hopefully they won't be saying it's too hard again. It's actually really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one thing that I find out, because we work a lot with healing people, that they have a point of view and they think just the same way, that it's really hard to change it because they bought into the reality that the doctors told them, and there is sort of a thing that they believe in the diagnosis and they cannot hear anything else, just the diagnosis. But what happens that we start to believe in so many algorithms or computations, and we just pull it on top of our body, and the body starts to change. It starts to change, and it's a disease, it's an illness, and it's just terrible, and you don't want that, but you believe in everyone's bullshit. And
Oh, yeah.
when you help people to let it go and sort of break down all of these things, then suddenly the body shows up as it is, and it just heals. It can heal immediately. It's just so amazing how it can happen with people, even any terrible diseases, and it just happens overnight or during the session. That's quite amazing.
Yeah, and we'll have the money now, please. sounds like you're doing amazing work there. And yeah, it is that easy. And again, it's one of the things that I say, even in my bars classes or anybody comes to see me, it's really up to the person, you know, how much they're willing to let go of and how much they're willing to receive. So we're really magnificent in that sense of being able to facilitate that space of total allowance where there are no barriers and there is no judgment and everybody just gets to be. And that, I guess, is a real privilege. Well, I don't guess, I actually know it's a real privilege to be in that space. You know, that's true vulnerability and intimacy, like a real intimate space where there's trust. And so it really is up to that person. You know, you're facilitating the energy, and then whatever they're willing to let go of, whatever they're willing to receive can show up in that session. And yeah, you're right, it's just been incredible. I know Jane's had some miracles show up in her clients, and I guess that's, you know, that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, that's the amazing, powerful thing in access consciousness. It has a total different approach to everything, but it's really empowering and just clears out the shit that doesn't allow us to see what's real.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. Did anyone have any questions? I'm looking at the time. That's like, wow, that hour's just gone so fast.
Yes, someone Rel really loved the ergasm, that term that you used.
Yeah, ergasm. New favorite word. You know what I'm talking about. Ergasm.
And Cass is going to sing as well?
She probably will. She turns everything into a song. Yeah. Yeah, she'll be talking and then she'll just roll into a song. I'm not sure. She's going to have an evening where we get the chance to meet her and have cocktails with her. So that could be interesting. We don't quite know how that's going to roll. We may have some topic that we invite people to, ask her some questions around that night. And she'll probably do some book signing as well. She's got a book out, 7 Steps to Clear Communication or something. Yeah, so she'll be signing the book that night as well.
Oh, and just one more thing that I saw, that you are going to New Caledonia, running a foundation class there. Yeah,
that's really exciting. So exciting. So yes, New Caledonia is, so we're doing the 10 Keys to Total Freedom with a crew from New Caledonia at the moment, and heading across there in October to do a foundation class, bars and foundation class, 5 days of change.
Wow.
So that's exciting. And how that showed up was Jane was hosting me for a foundation class in Whangarei on one of my trips back from Japan, and a family came over from New Caledonia, and we were really keen for them to get, then connected with people so they could continue to have bar swaps over there. And anyway, so one thing led to another, and lots of questions later, here we are.
Wow, amazing! You have such a amazing and adventurous life, traveling a lot and changing people's lives. That's truly miraculous.
Thank you. Yes, we all have amazing adventurous lives. Life itself is adventurous.
Yeah. So in Access we have a saying that when someone does something truly amazing and you would like more of that, just say that, yeah, I would like to have it. I would like to have that, please.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm
Please,
having that.
universe. Yeah, I'm having that.
I'm having that, thanks.
Yeah.
And don't forget to ask for the money as well. So, like every day, I had been forgetting about this one for a while, but waking up and asking for $50 million today. You know how people would say, this week I'm asking for 4 new clients and maybe $2,000 or something like that. Gary says we just don't ask for enough and we don't ask big enough. So if we start to ask, you know, for really big stuff, then what we're doing is we're creating a greater future. So you're somewhere soon, and things are showing up really fast now. You know, we can literally walk into that really big stuff that we've been asking for, and it can happen overnight. And it does happen overnight. So $50 million today, thank you. And tomorrow, 5,000 new clients and 5,000 people in my classes.
Yeah.
And just know that that's, you know, the universe is shifting everything for you. So that can all come to fruition. And have fun.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sharon. That was
Thank you.
a lovely finishing. That's the icing on the cake. How does it get any better than that? And how did we get so lucky to have you on this fortnightly Zoom session?
Oh, thanks, Rocco. It's really cool what you guys are doing here, creating all this space for people to come on and chat about bodies and nature and all kinds of magical possibilities. It's really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And I just wanted to let everyone know that we will send out the recording. So, and you can have it, you can rewatch it. And yeah, we are really wishing to everyone to please choose more, please step up and stand up. And there are so amazing and a huge number of amazing facilitators in New Zealand. In now, I would say in each and every part and region and corner and segment of New Zealand, you can find facilitators. And just find someone if you have some problem, and just go and ask and change your life. There are so many amazing tools. Please change your life. Don't give up. Never, ever.
Yeah. Don't ever give up on you.
Yeah. Thank you so much again, Sharon, for accepting the invitation and giving all these amazing tools and sharing your life and your change and how you contribute to the people around the world. Thank you
Thanks,
for
Rocco.
that.
Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon. I've got an idea. I'd like to take off in my car with a selfie stick and go visit people and get my bars run along the way and do a little recording and introduce everybody.
Wow.
And put it online.
Wow, that's amazing. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm going to be in Auckland on the 23rd. Anyway, I'll be in touch with you guys.
That's cool. Next Friday, right?
Yeah, next week. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for the weekend. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.